What's going on, my fellow co-creators? Thank you so much for tuning in to another session of Tales of Dordania. Where we left off last time, the crew has successfully kind of finished their first big mission, navigating their way through Chateau d'If, and they successfully destroyed Dracula's Soulstone. And as they kind of were making their way out, they did, loot and get a couple other goodies as they made their way into town, and luckily didn't encounter anything too bad on their way in. And as they approached the front gate, they kept seeing the remains of ice on the ground.
And as you all are making your way into town, this kind of last stretch of the hour, and you're making your way back to Castle Mars, you come to kind of the pillars at the front entrance point, as the walls kind of meet to these pillars you both have seen before. Kieran, you're just kind of taking this all in. Things look very different from when you first saw this 20 years ago when Dracula was in charge. Let's just say that. Like, nothing looks the same. Right? It looks like almost a completely different place. It's been rearranged. Been built upon, it's been established more too. Seems like things are going. Seems like this is definitely not the dark catacomb kind of place that you once remembered so long ago that you had stolen some gems from Dracula in his area, in his land. And as you guys are all kind of making your way through the temple pillars, you run into two vampiric guards. And Behemoth, you realize that these two guards were the guards that were originally guarding Castle Mars when you guys first were making your inquiries about Theo. Sorry, Terry, you realize this. You're already in the castle. You realize this, Terry. These are the guards that you first inquired about. So you guys recognize these two guards. As you kind of approach and enter the gates, what would you guys like to do?
Hey guys, we won!
As one of the guards kind of looks up and he's holding his sword, he sees Behemoth. Behemoth? Is that really you?
I'm like, yeah!
Sees your excitement. You guys made it back. And
we won!
Where's the winged friend you had?
Yeah.
Stuck to a portal, it's one of those days.
Fair enough. And who is this new addition to the journey?
I broke him out of prison. He's kind of shady, but I kind of like him. He's alright.
Okay, elbow him, like, shut up.
He helped you to retrieve Dracula's Soulstone.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, he really was a good guy. I mean, as far as breaking him out of prison, I've broken worse people out.
Mm-hmm. Kind of,
in my week of living.
Both the guards kind of look at each other and they kind of, nod their heads and they're kind of like, all right. And what about that one? And they're looking. Terry, you're kind of just holding on to the legs of Kai as he's just like seemingly dead as you're just kind of dragging him.
He's not in danger now, is he?
Was he a danger before?
No.
Actually, I was going to ask, can we get this guy some help? Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm worried about him. I'm concerned about him.
He's a part of your party? He helped you on the mission?
Yeah, like I broke him out of jail too. It's just his jailbird break kind of thing.
Spoiler alert, he's
like,
blind.
It's his Chateau d'If. It's bound to happen.
It's one of those days. Like I said, I broke a lot of people out of jail today.
Yes, he looks like he needs some attention. We'll be sure to take him to Castle Mars as soon as the ceremony is finished. You all actually want to make your way to the center of town. It's going to be something you don't want to miss.
All right. Well,
anybody else want to say anything, or anybody else want to say anything?
Let's keep dragging the body.
Okay. As you guys kind of, you leave the body with them, and they say they'll take care of it.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
So you leave, yep, Kieran with the guards. They say they're going to take care of them. We'll get them to Castle Mars. And as you guys kind of start walking through town, you guys get to kind of Luz Tavern, and as you kind of approach, you see a good crowd. And I mean, it's not just 10 people. It's there's probably 500 or so people gathered around. And they're gathered around as you guys approach. You think it's a bonfire, and you think it's just wood. And as you get closer, you realize these are all bodies. These are all vampire bodies and undead orc bodies, and literally all the vampire bodies, all the heads are missing. And this is literally just like a mound, and it's about 35 feet high. It's piled.
So I bumped the vamp next to me, and I'm like, hey, what's going on here?
As you kind of nudge the vampire kind of next to you, guys kind of approach. Yeah, we'll be that guy right there. You kind of nudge him. What's going on?
Yeah, hey.
This vampire turns, and you can tell just by his armaments and his garments that he is a soldier in Theo's army. And you inquiry about what happened, and this vamp turns to you. Well, not only did we win the day, but the Soulstone had been destroyed for Dracula. And once it happened, Theo had just a wellspring of power and decimated the remaining forces of House Malistaire. The battle, honestly, was a good call. Theo managed to keep it completely out of town right on the outskirts of the wall. Not a single vampire from House Malice
So what are
made
the
it into the
bodies
city.
here? Are these the bad guys?
So, vampires were a little bit harder to kill than most, so we were instructed to Theo that once dead, decapitate the heads, burn them, bring the bodies here to town for our celebration ceremony. Theo said he had something prepared, and we've all been just stacking bodies up all morning in preparation for what he's about to potentially do. Luckily, we only lost about a quarter of our forces during the battle. House Malice there came in pretty hard. Their warlock, hold on, let's turn my pages here real quick. Their warlock Malachi had a lot kind of going for them and enchanted most of their berserkers and other soldiers that first kind of entered. He also put some enchantments and some kind of curses over the town itself to try to kind of throw us off from afar. Luckily, Theo protected everybody, and he combined with Mistyago, froze almost half the army, and then completely shattered their forces with just one swoop of Theo's wings after they had frozen the army. After that, we took the remainder by force, and that's what you see us piling up right now.
Who the heck is this guy? God? Jesus.
It's pretty beast. Well, one vampire turns and he says, well, Mistyago is able to cast Tidal Wave, and literally a 20-foot wave about 80 feet wide just engulfed the front forces of House Malice. As it happened, Theo turned into his dragon form and came through with his ice breath and literally froze all of them where they stood. Once that happened, he shattered them on spot.
No, like
He's
this
kind of
guy?
just, no, he's like, you see this vampire's like, dude, it was epic. Like, you should have been there. Shit got real.
Awesome,
we were
man.
killing people. Like, it was insane. Like, you seen Game of Thrones? It was like some Game of Thrones.
That would be great.
Right. Yeah. Kind of explain all this kind of stuff to you, and everything's kind of happening. All of a sudden, you start hearing people kind of at the front pile of the bodies start cheering. And as you kind of look up, you see Theo kind of approach, his castle kind of spire where he can be, revealed to the public and everybody. And as he kind of calls out, my fellow vampires of House Alucard, House Raishi, and those who have sought refuge here throughout Castle Mars, I bring you today victory! And everyone just goes crazy, literally like, it is like everyone is just cheering, going wild. People are jumping up and down, clapping, hooting and hollering. It is a party. Theo says, House Malice could not serve their penance, and in spite they tried to attack us, reclaiming the terrible nature of Dracula and setting more destruction throughout this land. But we will not have it. I say now, the House Malice and House Dracula are no more! And everyone's just cheering, whatnot.
No, we are the champions. We are the champions.
We are, yeah.
Oh, don't even
start.
No.
And as he says this, I've gathered you here today in celebration as we see the remains of House Malice and he kind of motions his hands down to this pile of just bodies. As we see them off into oblivion. And as he kind of motions, he then raises his hand to the sky. And since you haven't been, in prison for 20 years, there's no sunlight. Everything on House Alucard on this isle is pretty much like protected by this like enchanted dark cloud. So everything looks like kind of foggy, like when it's daytime, it's just a lighter fog. When it's nighttime, it's just hella dark, you know what I mean? Like, so there's no real sunlight. It's just, lighter, around you and surroundings and whatnot. And as Theo kind of then motions his hand up to the clouds, everyone's gaze kind of becomes fixated up at what he's kind of motioning to. And you just see this ring of runes start to appear within the clouds and form a complete seal as a circle. And you see some crazy, signature stuff. You see some crazy symbolism stuff going on. The rune literally starts like compiling on itself, multiplying in different levels, kind of turning and rotating as well. And as everyone's kind of just gazing and seeing this golden kind of, spell enchantment getting placed, through the clouds literally break open within this circle that has been created. and the sunlight, I mean, in like a beam of just death, just plummets down. Like, it doesn't just reveal the sun, it's all nice and happy. Like, it's like Theo has amplified the natural energy of the sun and used it as like a magnifying glass and literally made a beam on a massive magnitude scale. And this beam, easily around 60-foot radius in a full circle, just comes from, I mean, the clouds down over these bodies. And you see all these bodies just, I mean, incinerate into nothingness. I mean, literally, there's not even ash left over. Literally, there's no smoke, there's no nothing. Everything is just gone. Gone. Everything. Gone. Everything is gone. As it does,
You missed one.
Theo says, "Drink, be merry, for my people today is a day of celebration." And he kind of turns and kind of starts kind of walking back, you know. And you guys kind of, everyone moves kind of silent, everyone's cheering still, hooting and hollering. And people, you know, are just kind of, you know, all excited and start kind of dissipating. And there's a mass of easily about 50 to 100 people just making their way towards Lou's Tavern. Now, what would you guys like to do?
Not gonna lose that.
We gotta go. Yeah, we gotta go see Theo.
Smart. As the crowd is kind of making their way over to Lou's and some of the different shops, and some people are even going home and whatnot after seeing this amazing, you know, display of power and celebration of House Malice there finally being destroyed and defeated.
Sorry, heroes coming through.
You guys are kind of just making your way up. This is pardon me. Okay, excuse me.
Heroes coming through.
Pardon me, make your way through. And as you guys are like
Heroes
walking
coming.
across, like where
I'm
Theo
walking
just
in. I'm walking in.
annihilated and just, I mean, disintegrated all of these vampires and orcs, just this massive bodies. You guys are like, there's nothing left. Like, it's like literally the ground's not even like scorched. It's like the target was just these vamps and they were completely obliterated. And as you guys keep making your way, you kind of approach the castle and you see two different guards at the castle gates. And then they, as you guys approach, what can we help you guys with?
He's the big man himself.
And you would be...
And I scream out, "Hey Theo, I did it, man!"
None of your business.
What do you think this is going to accomplish yelling to a brick wall?
I'm yelling out to Theo.
Shut up, he's young. Don't
Do
talk
you
to him
know
like that.
Theo? Who
Theo.
are you people?
We are.
He's the one who tasked me with this. I was supposed to go find this freaking
We
stone
are
and
the
smash it.
Soulstone
I did
And
it.
as this commotion kind of erupts, Theo literally just emerges from within his castle. And the guards instantly just shut up and they just turn
Like,
back.
"Yo,
Like,
Theo, I did
They
it,
just
man."
drop down to one knee and just bow. I mean, they're just full on, oh, shit, boss man's here.
I smashed it, man. I smashed it. It's good. I did it. Like, what do you think, man?
Theo looks at you and kind of looks at Tarek as well. And
Guess I should bow, right?
then kind of gazes over.
I'm just
at
kind
you,
of smiling
Karen,
with
and
my sword in my
kind of
hand.
looks at you for a split second and
Bow.
kind of looks at the whole group. You have succeeded in the mission.
I don't know who I am.
Come, tell me of your journeys.
And as Theo requests this, they begin to go throughout the castle, and Theo kind of leads them to the rooftop, and they tell Theo of their journeys throughout Chateau d'If and kind of what happened, and how not only they, ran into Kieran and Kai, but broke them out of prison, and they aided them in locating the Soul Stone and also destroying it and fending off Malice as well and some of her undead orcs. And they also speak of how Abaddon gave them quite some trouble and how Tarek is very eager to find another way to help remedy his situation going on there so he does not further hurt his fellow companions in the future. And Behemoth, a little overzealous, continues to interrupt Theo as he's kind of, inquiring about all these things. And it gets so bad to the point where Theo literally uses one of his spells to just glue Behemoth's mouth shut so that way his lips are completely sealed. And he's kind of telling them all that, hey, that's amazing. Very, very proud of you all. Thank you so much for, getting this mission done for me and for the people here of Alucardia. And as he's kind of talking to them, he tells them, where the different shops are throughout town, tells them, today's the day of celebration, go drink, be merry, have a good time. And he also then kind of starts, right before they leave to go do this, tells them they need to come back before nightfall. At least Tarek does, however. And also, he's got a couple goodies and treasures as rewards for the party.
and as Theo turns and he disappears, where he just disappeared, there's 3 chests. And your names are each engraved in these chests. There's no lock on them. What do you guys like to do?
I'll put my name
Yes,
with
sir.
the chest.
Okay.
Wide open.
Roll for initiative. We're going to see who opens their chest first.
Oh wow, that's
18.
that's a 3 for me, dog.
You're just opening his chest last. You said 18? Nice.
I'm just wary of it, like this guy scares me.
14. 3,000 gold in there.
Damn, son.
3,000 gold points in there. And there is a spool of golden string.
Ooh.
Is he gonna restring his loot? Is that like a basic thing he has?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
that sounds like good.
You try one. That is what you find in your chest.
Oh.
Tutor, you go and you check out your chest. As you crack it open, you too find 3,000 gold. And you find a note in your chest. And this note is from Theo as you open it. And it tells you need to go check out Akpu and Inoki Tattoo Shop. That's what you find in your chest. As you jump into your chest, you too find 3,000 gold,
Oh, sick, man.
a gun frame,
Ooh, nice.
just the frame.
But it's still
Doesn't have
good
a
job.
barrel or anything, doesn't have a trigger, so you would need to add your barrel that you have, like just the frame. And it looks like it's the frame for like a shotgun style of kind of blunderbuss style of weapon.
Okay, so the shotgun.
Yep. Shotgun blunderbuss frame.
And as the crew kind of opens up their different rewards and treasures from completing this quest for Theo, they then venture off into town, and everybody's celebrating, everybody's partying, having a really good time. A couple of them go to Lou's Tavern. Behemoth goes and gets a drink there for sure, and buys a couple for some other people as well. And he actually restrings his lute and takes his lute actually over to Ursos Arctos after to see if he can get it enchanted. And Ursos Arctos is the owner of the enchantment shop, and he is a artificer himself who kind of makes and does a lot of different things of that nature. And Ursos actually informed Behemoth that he had just sold a very cool magically enchanted warhammer to Cryptera, who is kind of the shopkeep owner for the different armory and for the weaponsmithery as well in Alucardia. And Behemoth tried to persuade her to get a better deal on this warhammer that she had just acquired from Ursos himself. And luckily he rolled pretty high, and Cryptera agreed that if he would return and kind of give this crate that she then reveals to Ursos, if he would kind of, pay this favor forward and just deliver this crate over to Ursos across town, that she would, yes, then take that price for the hammer. Behemoth agrees, and Behemoth walks out with a smashingly nice looking hammer. And it is awesome. I mean, it looks beast. And he then goes to kind of make his way across town to take this crate over to Ursos. And Kieran kind of stops him along the way. And Kieran, up to this point, just kind of been checking out a couple shops, uploading on a couple potions, things of that nature, selling a couple of the goodies he got along the journey. And he's just kind of been celebrating and grabbing a couple drinks over at Lou's as well. And he kind of sees Behemoth and is very curious about what's going on. And he, obviously, what's in the box, dude? And we're going to get back to that in a second. Over to Tarek, however, he goes directly over to Akpu and Inoki's tattoo shop. And when he gets there, Akpu and Inoki both inquiry about how his tattoo has been healing, and it's finally kind of now healed over to the point where he can use it. But Tarek lets them know kind of the different things that happened along their mission, and how Abaddon was still quite a nuisance, and he really wasn't able to use the tattoo very much because he had to wait for it to heal. And Inoki kind of, looks up and he says he and Theo have been talking about kind of combining a bit of a surgery procedure with some of their tattoo artistry magic to kind of entrap Abaddon, if you will, in a prison that would be contained within Tarig's actual body. And they kind of give some of the details up to Tarig and see if he is curious in undergoing this. And it is a bit of an expensive procedure for the ink. However, they do offer, and thanks to Theo, that they will do the procedure itself free of charge if he can just afford for the materials necessary. And he agrees to, and so he then goes and ventures back to the castle to kind of talk with Theo and see kind of what's going on and kind of why Theo asked him to come back to the castle in the first place. But before doing so, Tarig did pick up his crossbow that he had Cryptera making for him while he had gone on this journey to Chateau d'If. Kieran, by the way, to make a note, did see this happen and also requested for a crossbow to be made. He's going to pick it up here in a couple of days from Cryptera herself. When Tarig picked up his, it was a beautifully made crossbow. He also had 10 nice bolts included, had some good stats on it that definitely upped his percentage of potentially hitting and also the damage that he can do with this crossbow as well. And then, like I said, Tarig went to the castle and talking kind of with Theo, learning about this potential procedure. Also, Theo kind of, telling him a little bit more about just the land of Alucardia, the history of it as well, how he kind of came into power and how he wants to really return Alucardia to the true rightful state that he believes it should be in, of a land of prosperity and advancement, both in technological and beliefs and everything else as well. And he believes that Alucardia should be kind of, for lack of a better terms, the Atlantis of this realm of Dordania. And he just really wants that for the people. And he wants Tarig and kind of his crew, if they are willing to help him on the upcoming missions to kind of obtain this. Because Theo kind of warns him that there's a lot of different dark people moving throughout the land and a lot of different things that are afoot and at play. And there's definitely people who would wish to not only see this realm destroyed, but also to see it put under other people's control and also to see it enslaved. So he definitely wants to prevent those things from happening, and he believes that this crew is definitely the crew to kind of help them do so. And as he's telling Tarig of all these things, simultaneously is when Behemoth is leaving Cryptera's shop with the box that he is then trying to return over to Ursos. And simultaneously, Kieran is also leaving a shop where he just bought a bag of holding. And he sees what's going on with Behemoth, inevitably walks over, and, hey man, what's in the box? And Behemoth, trying to be polite, hey, none of your business, I don't even know what's in it. I'm just trying to, do a good favor and return it and get it over to Urso, so that way, I have made my peace on getting a good deal on this sweet hammer. And Kieran's not down with that. Kieran wants to know what's in the box. And they start in this crazy, not only battle of wits. When that fails, it is a full-on fight over this box. And they are literally tackling each other in the streets, full-on giving each other uppercuts, fist blows, going for the ankles. I mean, they're fighting dirty, and it's all over this box. I mean, literally, it's like Behemoth has it, gets tackled, punched. Kieran takes it. Behemoth throws a lasso over him, trips him up, runs over, knocks him down, takes it back. And as this is going on, Theo says to Tarig that he needs to go and kind of get his party under control before he can begin this surgery. So Tarig then leaves the castle to go and kind of figure out what's going on here and kind of stop them from doing what they're doing. And that's kind of the end of this session. That's kind of where we'll end for tonight, as you're about to see.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna hit.
19.
Yeah, that hits.
That's right. As you guys are kind of like fumbling on the ground, and Kieran looks at you like,
Like,
dude,
"Ugh!"
you just give him. You don't even say nothing. You just pop. I mean, just give him a pop.
Like, stop!
Roll a d6 for a punch. Really good punch.
No, she.
Damn, 6 damage.
I knocked you out.
Are you knocked out or are you still up?
No, I'm still up.
You're still up. You say, what the heck, man? You turn.
Pow!
And you turn, Kieran, just into Behemoth's fist. And it's a mean right hook. I mean, it just, you feel your beard almost shifted. Like it hit you hard, okay? And as this happens, Tarig walks up to you
What
guys,
the heck?
and this crate is just at his feet. Tarig, what would you guys like to say?
I'm just trying to defend what I'm trying to do.
The look gaze. That was so great.
It's going to the same place. Okay?
Like, really.
Words aren't needed.
I was doing more.
I'm doing my job. This asshole's trying to steal my shit.
I was getting more bang for our buck. I was getting more.
Bang for your buck and not mine.
You already got your guy. You already got your
You know what?
man.
Hey,
You didn't earn it.
I like that. And with that being said, that's where we'll end for tonight's session. So, this has been another exciting adventure of Tales of Dordania. Thank you everybody for tuning in and checking it out. And be sure to check us out next time, where we can see what happens with this mysterious box that Cryptera gave Behemoth literally just to deliver to Ursus Arthos. We'll see what happens between the three of you all, and also with potential further missions from Theo as well with you all, Terra. Again, other than that, this has been a great session. Thank you all for tuning in. God bless. Check you on the next one.